Voices of Life. Did you know? In 2022, the Supreme Court of the United States issued a decision that changed the course of American law and conscience. Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, a case that overturned Roe v. Wade, returned authority over abortion laws to the people and their elected representatives. It was a moment that ended nearly 50 years of federal precedent and began a new chapter in the story of life, liberty, and law within our constitutional republic. Today, Pastor David guides us through this defining decision, its origins, its arguments, and its lasting impact on the nation. This is Voices of Life. This is your "Did you know?" moment.
This is Voices of Life, a ministry of the Church for Life. I'm Pastor David. Did you know that in 2022, the Supreme Court of our constitutional republic made one of the most consequential decisions in modern history? A ruling that overturned nearly 50 years of precedent and reshaped the national conversation about life, liberty, and law. We are talking about Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the case that reversed Roe v. Wade, and Planned Parenthood v. Casey, returning authority over abortion laws to the people and their elected representatives. To understand Dobbs, we must first remember Roe v. Wade, a case we explored in a previous Voices of Life episode. In 1973, Roe established a constitutional right to abortion based on privacy. In 1992, Planned Parenthood v. Casey reaffirmed the right but replaced the trimester framework with undue burden standard. For nearly 3 decades, those rulings defined how states could regulate abortion until Mississippi passed a law that directly challenged them. In 2018, Mississippi enacted the Gestational Age Act, banning most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, except for medical emergencies or severe fetal abnormalities. The law did not include exceptions for rape or incest. Because Roe and Casey prohibited bans before fetal viability around 23 to 24 weeks, Mississippi's law directly conflicted with existing precedent. The state's only abortion clinic, Jackson's Women's Health Organization, filed suit, and the case began its journey through the courts. By 2021, the Supreme Court agreed to hear the case. Mississippi argued that the Constitution contained no reference to abortion and that the issue should be decided by elected legislatures. The clinic argued that overturning Roe and Casey would undermine decades of precedents and affect millions of women nationwide. Then came the unprecedented moment, the leak. On May 2, 2022, a draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito was leaked to the press. It revealed that the court intended to overturn Roe v. Wade. The leak sparked nationwide protests, congressional hearings, and internal Supreme Court investigation, a moment unlike any other in judicial history. On June 24, 2022, the court issued its final decision. By a vote of 6-3, it upheld Mississippi's law, and by a vote of 5-4, it overturned Roe and Casey entirely. Justice Alito wrote for the majority, "The Constitution does not confer a right to abortion." The court reasoned that the abortion is not mentioned in the Constitution and is not deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. The ruling returned authority over abortion regulation to the states and Congress. Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan dissented, writing together that the majority had eliminated a constitutional protection recognized for nearly 50 years. They warned that the decision would profoundly affect women across the country and weaken respect for the precedent. Their closing words were somber. "With sorrow for this court, but more for the many millions of American women who have today lost the fundamental constitutional protection we dissent. Now remember, we talked in a few podcasts ago about Marbury v. Madison, and we talked about things that were not in the Constitution, but the Supreme Court ruled anyway. Well, Roe v. Wade was one of those rulings, and so was the other one in 1992. There's nothing in the Constitution that talks about it, nothing in the Constitution that gives the federal government authority over it. So in this case, the court went ahead and acknowledged it and said, yep, we can't do it. And therefore, here the states and Congress have control back to making the laws, which is what's supposed to happen, not the courts. The courts are not supposed to make laws. They're not supposed to even really interpret them or put in precedences that stop things that are contained in our laws. So this is one of those cases where it's chipping away at Marbury v. Madison. But this decision had immediate impact. The decision triggered changes. Several states had trigger laws ready to take effect, banning or restricting abortion as soon as Dobbs was decided. Other states expanded access, creating a patchwork of laws across the nation. The ruling reignited debates about federalism, judicial philosophy, and the meaning of liberty in a constitutional republic. Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization stands as a turning point in American legal history. It reminds us that the constitutional interpretation shapes not only law but culture, and that every generation must wrestle with how they balance the rights, responsibilities, and moral conviction. Thank you for joining us on this Voices of Life Did You Know episode. I'm Pastor David. We hope this journey has deepened your understanding of how Dobbs connects to Roe v. Wade and continues to influence our constitutional republic today. Until next time, stay encouraged, stay informed, and stay faithful.
Thank you for joining us for this Voices of Life Did You Know episode. Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization marked a turning point in the history of our constitutional republic, ending nearly 50 years of federal precedent and returning the question of abortion laws to the people and their elected representatives. As we shared in our Roe v. Wade episode, these decisions are more than legal milestones. They shape culture, conscience, and the ongoing national conversation about life, liberty, and the role of government. On behalf of Pastor David, we hope today's journey has strengthened your understanding of how Dobbs connects to Roe and why both cases continue to influence our nation today. Until next time, stay encouraged, stay informed, and stay faithful.